Welcome back, Focus Learners, to today's Explainer. We're setting the stage for a truly fascinating dive into how we actually train the next generation of artificial intelligence. We aren't just talking about flashy user interfaces or crazy sci-fi promises today. No, we are getting right down to the bedrock of it all, the data. Just think about this surprising fact for a second. Current large language models have ingested literally trillions of words. I mean, that is essentially the entire written history of humanity. And yet, they've spent exactly 0 seconds actually interacting with the physical world. Wild, right? So today we're looking at how we bridge that massive gap to make AI genuinely useful in physical reality. The source material we're exploring focuses on a platform called Codatta. They're quietly building what they describe as the foundational backbone for this next generation of AI, and it is all about a massive shift toward human-centered data.
But before we get to the solution, we've got to ask a foundational question. Does AI actually understand the real world? Think about the incredibly smart models we interact with every single day. They write pristine code, they draft brilliant essays, and they even pass medical and bar exams with flying colors. But do they actually comprehend the physical reality we live in, or is it just an incredibly convincing illusion of knowledge? In the industry, they sometimes call this the stochastic parrot problem. These models are essentially highly advanced mathematical engines predicting the most probable next word based on vast oceans of text. So sure, they can output a beautifully poetic description of an apple, but they possess absolutely no true, grounded understanding of what an apple actually feels like, how much it weighs, or what happens when it drops and smashes on the floor.
Section 1. The AI data problem. Okay, let's dive into this deeply flawed foundational data that currently powers most AI.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between the current random, messy data scraped from the internet today and the precise context AI truly requires. The data sets feeding these machines right now are remarkably messy. Information is just scraped in moss from the internet, pulling in everything from sprawling forum posts to digital encyclopedias and chaotic social media threads. The fatal flaw here is that this data is completely disconnected from physical reality. It's just text floating in the digital ether. An AI trained this way might perfectly recite the dictionary definition of gravity or even the complex equations of general relativity, but it totally fails to inherently understand the practical physics of a coffee cup tipping off the edge of a table. What AI actually needs to function in our world is context. It requires extreme accuracy, and most importantly, it needs to understand real human interactions with the physical environment. You simply cannot scrape the intuitive physics of everyday life from a text-based internet form.
Section 2. Teaching AI the real world. So let's look at how a platform called Codatta proposes to flip the script on this massive data dilemma.
You see, instead of relying on that random internet scraping we just talked about, Codatta focuses on structured, clearly labeled real-life activities so AI can learn how the world actually works. They have a highly specific three-pronged focus. First, real-life human activities. This means capturing the nuanced ways people actually move, work, and interact with objects. Second, structured collection methods. Rather than chaotic data dumping, like throwing billions of random images at a wall and hoping the AI learns, they gather targeted physical data. And third, incredibly clear labeling systems. In a physical context, structuring and labeling data means translating spatial awareness, force, and human intention into a mathematical language the AI can actually digest. The goal here is entirely functional. They're structuring trusted, highly usable data so that multimodal AI can finally learn how the real world operates step by step.
Let's ground this abstract technological concept in a highly relatable microexample. I want you to imagine an AI-powered robot standing right now in your kitchen. If that robot was trained solely on text scraped from the internet, it might possess a flawless conceptual understanding of what a kitchen is. It could effortlessly recite a complex, Michelin star recipe for soufflé, complete with the historical context of French cuisine. But standing there in the physical space, it would be a total disaster. When asked to actually crack an egg, lacking any grounded tactile data, it would likely apply maximum robotic force and confidently crush that egg into a fine dust all over your countertop. It has the vocabulary, sure, but it completely lacks the physical intuition.
And this is exactly why grounded data is absolutely crucial. A robot doesn't just need to visually see a kitchen to be helpful. It needs deep, physical, actionable context of these exact human steps. Think about it. It needs to know exactly how much delicate pressure to apply to pry open a stubborn, friction-heavy drawer without literally ripping it off its tracks. It needs to know the precise rotational force, the exact torque required to turn a stove knob to a simmer rather than a roaring flame. Most critically, it needs to understand how humans move naturally through that confined space so it doesn't cause a hazard or get in your way while you are cooking. That granular, physical level of detail, the actual mechanics of living, spatial awareness, and delicate motor skills is exactly the kind of human-centered data Codatta aims to capture.
Section 3. The data ownership shift. Let's pivot from that technical kitchen dilemma to the macro-level impact, focusing on the personal, financial, and ethical implications of data ownership. We are all very familiar with the old way data has been treated over the last decade. It's the era of big tech companies quietly extracting your digital footprint in the background. You browse, you click, you move through the digital world, and that information is silently harvested to train models worth billions of dollars. This has led to massive public frustration and ongoing data scraping lawsuits, all while the everyday user never sees a single dime. The Codatta model, however, presents a stark contrast to this exact dynamic. In this new ecosystem, you aren't just a passive resource inadvertently helping AI improve. Every contribution leads to value, and every action leads to a tangible reward. It establishes a completely new economy where everyday people actually earn from the high-quality, physical world data they purposefully generate. This is fundamentally about solving the deeper, systemic issue of data ownership, resting on three main pillars for contributors. First, it allows you to actively participate in building the next generation of artificial intelligence, transitioning you from a harvested data point to a conscious architect of the system. Second, you actually benefit practically and financially. This isn't just about feeling good. This means real compensation, potential tokenization, or gaining access to dramatically better, highly localized AI tools that actually understand your specific workflows. And third, you are recognized for the value you provide. It completely transforms the user-machine relationship. The intelligence of the machine becomes transparently linked to the human expertise that trained it, fundamentally shifting the power dynamic back toward you, the individual contributor.
Section 4. A human-centered future. And this brilliantly illustrates the broader philosophical shift this represents for our society as we begin wrapping up this explainer.
The core thesis of the source material comes down to this. The future of artificial intelligence won't be built by machines alone. It will be shaped by people contributing meaningful, real-world data. Human beings, not just cold silicon and certainly not just automated scraping algorithms, are the essential active ingredient required to build artificial general intelligence that we can actually trust and use safely in our physical reality. Your specific human intuition, the way you uniquely solve a physical problem, handle an object, or navigate a room, is the missing puzzle piece for these advanced systems. Without our active guidance and our physical baseline, the AI remains fundamentally blind, trapped forever behind the glass of our screens. I want to leave you with this powerful final thought from the source material. Quote, "If AI is going to live in our world, it needs to learn from us properly." It is a striking reminder that we are the ultimate blueprint. As these incredibly powerful models become more advanced, as they inevitably step out of the digital ether and into our physical spaces, our homes, and our workplaces, the stakes change dramatically. So, the provocative question we are left with is this. Are we ready to stop being passive consumers, step up, and actively teach these machines how to be human? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep actively asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.